Hi. Hi, everyone. Today's Wednesday, April 22nd. And even though it's been quite sunny, today is raining. I didn't believe the weather report when I read it. I thought, 50% chance, but it's raining and I can hear it outside my window, which makes a really good day to stay in and catch up on some stories and reading and mysteries to solve. Today's mystery, 3 clues. First clue, the thing inside my box, the thing that's going to introduce my story today, has a shape. The shape is an ellipse. That's a tough word, ellipse. Let's make it a little harder. I won't explain that. I'll just go to clue 2. Clue 2, you may have eaten one today or yesterday or sometime last week. That could be a lot of things because you probably have had an apple. No. Or a hamburger or a hot dog or what else? A chip? Nope. None of those things. It's an ellipse and you may have eaten one. Here's my last clue. You have to be very careful with one of these. It's very fragile. I'll give you a little piece to the shape. An ellipse is an oval. An ellipse is a 3-dimensional oval. It's very fragile. If you break it, if you drop it, it will break or crack. There you go. That was more than 3 clues. You think you've got it? If you said egg, then you are probably saying, be careful, Mrs. Schepman, be careful, don't drop it. I will be very careful, but yes, and that is what our story is about today. It's an adventure that has to do with an egg that you can see right from the picture breaks on someone's head. The name of today's story is It Wasn't My Fault. It's by Helen Lester, and she's the same author that wrote the book The Magic Chicken and the Wizard and the Fairy, last week's book. You're right. You may have guessed it. This is one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors, so here we go. The name of the boy in the story is, I have to look because it is tricky, Merdley Gurdson. Here we go. Things did not always go well for Merdley Gurdson. He just couldn't control the toothpaste. He fell into wastebaskets, and he dropped only valuable vases. Whatever happened, it was usually his fault. One day he went for a walk in his one too big new shoe. He had stepped out of the other shoe and he couldn't remember where he left it. Before long, someone laid an egg on Merdley Gurdson's head. Boom. He looked at a nearby bird. Hey, did you lay an egg on my head? He asked. I did, confessed the bird, but it wasn't my fault. A horrible aardvark screamed and scared me. So Merdley Gurdson and the bird went to see the aardvark. Hey, did you scream and scare the bird into laying an egg on Merdley Gurdson's head? They asked. Yeah, I did, confessed the aardvark, but it wasn't my fault. A nasty pygmy hippo stepped on my tail, and a scream just popped out. Did you notice everybody's saying the same thing? It's not my fault. Here we go. Together they went to find the hippo. Did you step on the aardvark's tail, making him scream and scare the bird into laying an egg on Merdley Gurdson's head? They asked. I did, confessed the hippo, but it wasn't my fault. I did it by accident when I was getting out of the way of this hopping shoe with long ears. A what? They asked. You heard them, right? Along came a shoe with ears sticking out. Well, with a pull and a tug, they soon found that the ears were attached to a rabbit. It wasn't my fault, the rabbit explained. I was hopping along when I landed right in that shoe and I got stuck. Oh, that shoe looked very much like the new too big shoe that Merdley had stepped out of some time ago. Look at his face. He looks like he's figuring out what just happened. In fact, it was his shoe. Merdley thought about it. He thought the rabbit became stuck in my shoe, frightened the pygmy hippo who stepped on the aardvark's tail, and the aardvark screamed and scared the bird into laying an egg on my head. That's about what happened, right? Then, oh my goodness, I suppose it was my fault, Merdley Gertsen said very sadly, and 2 tears splashed right onto his 2 big shoes. Oh, there, said the pygmy hippo and the rabbit and the bird and the aardvark. Don't cry. It was my fault, said the bird. No, it was my fault, said the aardvark. It was my fault, said the hippo. I think it was the shoe, said the rabbit. Let's go back to your house and do something with that egg. And they did. They all went into the kitchen. The aardvark turned Merdley Gertsen upside down, and the egg plopped into a pan, and the rabbit ground the pepper, and the hippo added a pinch of salt, and the bird ran around and around in the pan, doing a very fine job of scrambling. And Merdley Gertsen enjoyed every bite of his scrambled egg. Merdley thanked his friends, and he went to the door to let them out, and oh dear, it wasn't his fault, he said. The end. Oh my goodness. Not only is that story just kind of fun, I love any story with an aardvark, it also has some lessons, and I asked some kids last year, and here's what someone said right away. Hey, you should never stand under birds in trees. Probably for more than one reason, right? And then someone said, hey, you could spend all day blaming other people, but it doesn't solve the problem. I like it. Yes. And then someone said, the lesson to the story is put your shoes away in the first place. That is one of the lessons. And then I had a friend of mine who's an artist. You know who you are. He's still in my class. He said mistakes can be like good accidents. You can make a mistake and then turn it into something good. Because he's an artist and he knows if you drop some paint and you have a big spot on your picture, you can turn it into something and make it part of your picture. I think that's what they did in this story. They took a broken egg, turned it into a scrambled egg breakfast, or lunch maybe. I have one more from another set of students. They said teamwork, that's what it is. And you know, if you really look in a lot of stories, you will find that that is a good lesson. If there's a group of people and they solve a problem, then teamwork works. What is it? Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So here's what I want you to think about today as you go along, or maybe later in the week. If you find yourself saying, it's not my fault, it may not be, but be a little bit of a detective and do some thinking like, Merdley and the aardvark and all the other animals, and see if you can figure out if there was one part that maybe was you played a part in the problem. Just look at it from someone else's point of view, right? You've heard me say that, and perspective. Taking someone else's point of view and looking at it from another perspective. Wow. Big words. That's what I have to tell you today. And I'll see you next week. And maybe we'll try a different author next week. But I don't know. She is one of my favorites. See you later.